You can probably name your values without much thought. Integrity, growth, service, whatever your list looks like. But there's one value running underneath all of those that most leaders never actually notice. And left unchecked, it can silently override everything else you claim to stand for. It's not ambition and it's not fear exactly. That's what I'm talking about in today's episode, so stick around. Welcome to Lead with More, where we help you lead with clarity, intentionality, and purpose. Now, this is a further episode where I return to a past conversation and bring out what else is worth saying. Now, back in episode 6, John Miner and I talked about the leadership shadow, and that's the influence that you cast on everyone around you, whether you mean to or not, and how your values shape that shadow. We introduced the Barrett values model, and we talked about character as the alignment between what you say you believe and what you actually do. Today, I want to go further and name a value that I think most of us carry, whether we've admitted to it or not, and talk about what happens when that value runs the show without us realizing it. So here's that hidden value: valuing what other people think of you. Now, I want to be careful with this topic because on the surface, it doesn't sound like a value at all. It sounds like a personality quirk or maybe just being a nice person. And I'm not saying you shouldn't be mindful of how others perceive you, but think about how much of what we do is shaped by wanting to be seen in a certain way. Modern marketing runs on this concept. So much of how we present ourselves day to day is built around being perceived favorably, and that's a strong motivator. It's strong enough that it can override the values that you'd actually list if someone asked you what you stood for. And here's the tricky part. This one hides well, even from a leader who has it and knows it. You don't wake up and think, oh, today I'm going to shapeshift so people like me. It's quieter than that. It shows up in the way that you adjust your tone in one meeting versus another, or the way that you maybe soften an opinion because of who's in the room to the point that it no longer represents your full opinion. The way you find yourself agreeing with whoever spoke last, even when it's not quite what you think. I'll be honest with you, I catch myself in this. And the way I adjust how I say something so that it lands better, so people respond well to me. Now, hear me clearly on this. That's not always a bad thing, but sometimes it crosses a line, and that line is worth talking about. Now, don't confuse what I'm saying, because I'm not saying that adapting to your audience is bad. It's not. If you're going to encourage people and build them up and actually reach them with something that matters, you have to connect with them first. You're not going to do that by saying things that just get people frustrated or shut down, or that are completely foreign to them. Some amount of reading the room, that is adjusting how you communicate and meeting people where they are, that's a real leadership skill. That's not the problem. The problem is the line between adapting to connect with people and shape-shifting so people will approve of you. Those can look identical from the outside. The difference is what's actually driving it. If you're adjusting how you show up because it helps you reach someone or help them or serve them, that is connection. If you're adjusting because you need them to like you, because their approval is what's making you feel okay about yourself, that's a different thing entirely. And that motivation can make you a chameleon. You'll change who you are depending on who you're with. And if that's happening, you're not actually leading from your values anymore. You're leading from whatever gets you approved of in the moment. Now, here's the honest problem with that distinction. Motive is a difficult thing to self-diagnose. If you ask yourself in the moment, am I doing this to help them or because I want them to like me? Most of us are going to answer that in the positive because we're not great at seeing our own blind spots in real time. This is exactly the kind of thing that hides from you. It takes time and effort to build that level of self-awareness in real time. So instead of asking yourself about motive, watch your behavior instead. Notice if your position shifts depending on who's in the room, or notice if you find yourself agreeing with whoever spoke last, even when it's not really what you think. These are things you can actually catch, not by reflecting on why you did something, but by noticing the pattern of what you actually do. And this connects right back to what John and I talked about in episode 6. Character, we said, is the agreement between what you say you value and how you actually act. If your actions are shifting based on who's watching, that's not alignment, that's drift. And that drift is part of the shadow you're casting, whether you intend to or not. Now, let me give you an example of what the healthy version of this looks like, because I don't want to leave you with the idea that the answer is to stop adapting altogether or to stay in your lane and never stretch towards people who are different from you. Now, let's say, for example, that I was asked to speak about leadership to a group of single mothers. Now, I've not lived that experience, and I'm not going to pretend I know what that's like. I'm not going to try to fake it to connect. But the answer isn't to say no and stay away from that room. The answer is to be honest about it up front and to say, now, I haven't walked this exact road, and I'm not going to pretend that I have, but here's what I do bring. That's not shape-shifting. That's being authentic and vulnerable. That can actually help you build connection. You adapt your approach. You don't adapt your whole identity. That's the big difference. Adapting your approach so you can actually reach and serve someone, that's good leadership. Adapting your identity so someone approves of you, that's the hidden value running the show. So here's what I want you to do with this. Don't start by asking yourself why you do what you do. Start by watching what you actually do. This week, notice one moment where your position shifted because of who was in the room, or where you agreed with someone just because they spoke last and it felt easier. Or maybe stayed silent on something that needed to be said because you knew someone wouldn't like it. You don't have to fix it in the moment, just notice it. That noticing is the first step, and from that awareness, you can build the solution. Leadership was never about being liked. It's about being someone people can trust to be the same person in every room. To say the things and make the decisions that need to be said and done, even if it means people won't like you. If you get that right, the people around you will know exactly who they're following. I want to thank you for joining me on this abbreviated episode today. And on a programming note, I'm in pre-production already on the next round of guest interviews. And I have some really outstanding guests lined up to bring you some good and valuable insight. So stay tuned in. If you found value in this episode, share it with a leader who needs to hear it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Until next time, keep leading with more.